And without any delay, your host today will be Paul Cornell from the Hearing Loop Group. Paul?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Diana.
You are welcome.
Good afternoon to everyone in attendance. And my name is Paul Cornell, as Diana said, and I'm one of the principals with the Hearing Loop Group. We're going to talk about our products and how they might benefit your respective companies in the near future. I'd like to thank you for being here, and I'll go ahead and get started. If you look at your screens, if you want to take some notes, we'll be answering any questions when we get to the back side. But let's see. We are the Hearing Loop Group, as I said. We're located in St. Petersburg, Florida, on the Gulf Coast. If I can get this to switch. There you go. Myself, Joe Romano, Jan Jocelyn, we're the principals in the company. We've been in this area for about 40 years. We have beautiful beaches. Come down and visit us anytime you like. Joe owns 2 construction companies, and when we do installations locally in our area, we do them. We have his construction companies do the labor, and it's a pretty good pairing. We're trying desperately to get out of the installation business, and we only do 2 or 3 a month now. Jan is a retired hearing professional. It was her inspiration that got the company started a few years ago, and I've been in the investment banking and finance industry for about 30 years here locally, so we think we're a pretty good group. Phonic here is one of the leading global manufacturers of induction loop systems, which we're talking about today. None of you may have heard of them, but they're very well known and respected in the audiological community. They are a wholly owned subsidiary of William Dement Holdings. They're in Denmark on the Danish Stock Exchange. It's a worldwide electronics conglomerate. They have 7,500 employees plus, sales of $1.3 billion last year. They own Sennheiser. You probably are familiar with a extremely high quality electronics manufacturer. Sennheiser also makes, they're limited, they make a few residential systems, which I think are probably the inspiration for what Phonic here does, but regardless. Also Oticon, which is a hearing aid manufacturer. William Dement is a very strong, solid, stable company. A little background on what drives the products. Hearing loss affects everyone in some way or another. There's 36 million people that suffer from hearing loss in the U.S. By the year 2050, it's expected to grow to over 50 million. It's one of the most common conditions that are present at birth. 16% of school-aged children have hearing loss, and I can tell you that's a fact because my wife teaches deaf and hard of hearing students here in Manatee County, Florida, and she's a busy woman. So anyway, 1 in 5 teens have hearing loss, 1 in 6 baby boomers, over 30% of seniors 65 or older have moderate to severe, and that number grows to 45% when they get to be 75 or more. So that's nearly 50% of every senior that you may be speaking with has some type of hearing loss, and I'm sure some of you have experience, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know because you deal in the senior markets. So that's why we feel one aspect of our products that's obviously an interesting fit and a very good fit. But there is a need for assistive devices. One of the reasons that a person with hearing aids has so much trouble in a room is the fact that sound echoes throughout the room. If you picture a scatter gun shooting 50 tennis balls into an open room and them just bouncing willy-nilly off the walls, that's about what sound does. And it basically attacks the hearing aid wearer from all angles. We have this wonderful thing in our ears, attached to our ears, which is called a brain, and it knows how to decipher and evaluate those sounds and make them legible. But unfortunately, those with bad hearing don't have that benefit. So they're oftentimes overwhelmed in many circumstances in large groups. Actually, there's I guess you'd call it a graphic of the differences between common speech in a room with ambient noise in the background and then filtered through a hearing loop. And if you're looking at the screen, you can see a dramatic difference, and it truly is that dramatic. So obviously, that's the benefit. There is a history with induction loops. They're not young children. They've been around for over half a century. They were actually found out by mistake during World War I, and there was a linesman running tests on a telephone cable loop, and a radio operator within that loop noticed sounds in a headphone that he had on. And that's how the advent of the technology became about. Now, virtually every public facility in Europe is looped. All government buildings, all theaters, all churches, subways, buses, cabs, they're everywhere. And we're so far behind that, you know, it's almost embarrassing. But the good news is we're working towards that. So a description of what a loop system does: they take an audio signal and they transmit it as a magnetic field into a space where hearing aids can receive the signal and convert it back to high-quality audio. In the diagram on the left, or I guess the graphic, you'll see there's a priest at the pulpit speaking into the microphone, which is hardwired to the amplifier. That amplifier is hardwired to an antenna that's fixed around the perimeter of the room, and it wirelessly sends the signal into the ears of the hearing aid wearer. We call it Wi-Fi for the ears. Very simple, non-intrusive technology. Where can induction loops be installed? They can be installed virtually. Yeah, we've never found a building that we couldn't install them in, but residential homes, senior facilities, we're doing a lot of stuff with ALFs. They're a very large market, both in the group meeting rooms of the ALFs and within the individual residences that the seniors live in. Hospitals are a big market. Churches are a big market. These are all just probably the upper echelon group. Movie theaters, concert halls and auditoriums, vehicles. The city of New York has, I think, about a third of their taxi cab fleet is now equipped with loops within the cabs. Government facilities are a great candidate for looping. We've done 2 city council chambers here in our area over the past year. We have another one out for bid right now, and that's an area that's getting a lot of attention. Restaurants are a big, big problem for people that are profoundly hard of hearing. There really is no great solution. We're working on a restaurant loop. I mean, you can imagine how many restaurants there are in the U.S., and virtually none of them are outfitted to accommodate moderate to severe hearing people, and that's something, they just don't go because of that. But also, the city of New York installed close to 500 loop systems at their subway ticket booths in their subway system. And we've got some dramatic test tapes of that, or we can test MP3s or whatever they are. We'd be happy to send you of actual use of those on the subway ticket booths, and they're very profound. So they are getting a lot of attention, And part of the reason is because of the push to have companies and businesses and governments adhere to the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is a very large act. And I've taken some excerpts from it, and there are also some others you may have gotten in documentation from us. But the hearing impaired is classified as a specific disability under the Act, which is the same as a blind person or an ambulatory person in a wheelchair or any other impairment. Virtually all public accommodations are subject to the ADA, surprisingly except churches, but they're one of the largest Loop clients. So thank God for the patrons that want to hear. A public accommodation must ensure equal opportunity under the Act for individuals with disabilities, which is an area of big concern. In the Act, it states that certain fixed seating assembly areas that accommodate 50 or more people or have audio amplification systems, and those are very, very broad terms, they must have a permanently installed assistive listening system. So this is a huge area that's not getting any attention. We're kind of keen on the fact that both landlords and tenants remain fully liable for compliance with all provisions. We've spoken with several landlords since we started studying the Act that had no idea that they were liable under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we're working right now with several to get their renters and businesses that rent commercial property from them compliant. I mean, I can't stress enough how big this is. This is not, now the Americans with Disabilities Act is not a law so that a policeman can walk in and say you're in violation of the law, but there are penalties, and if a person feels that a company or a business or a facility is not compliant with the Act and is not helping them under the terms of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or not accommodating them, they can file a civil suit with the department, one of the departments, and they are entitled to monetary damages. The court can assess penalties up to $50,000 for a first violation and up to $100,000 for subsequent violations. So from a landlord's perspective, it's much easier to make his tenant comply and eliminate that potential for liability. So we're working on that. As you're sitting here listening to me, you're asking yourself, why would I want to become a hearing loop dealer? I'll say that this is virtually an untapped market, and it literally has no competition in most areas. An email I got recently I put up here, you can read. This is a man who's a member. He's actually the Sertoma Club of Lafayette, Louisiana. We do a lot of work with the Sertoma Club. We get all of their leads when someone calls the Sertoma Club. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. They are looking to talk up the benefits of installing loop systems. There's no one, to their knowledge, in Louisiana that installs loops. They'd like to move forward, but they need someone to make a site visit. Our closest dealer right now is in Biloxi. He's about 6 hours away. He's not real keen on going over there, but he says he will. So if anyone on the other end of this is in Louisiana or has a partner in Louisiana that would like to visit this gentleman, I'd be happy to refer him to that. We get referrals like this quite often, and that number is growing. Getting back to Sertoma, they're working with the Hearing Loss Association of America and the American Audiological Association. They've started a campaign and it's their absolute mission to make sure that every community in America is extremely aware of loops. So because of that and because of their efforts, we're benefiting, which is we're very happy to be able to participate in. Number two, as to why you would become a hearing loop dealer. It is literally impossible. This is probably tied into number one, but it's impossible to estimate the size of this market, since almost without exception, 100% of the commercial market and at least 15% of the entire residential market are your potential customer base. Once again, this number is enormous, and we feel it's an opportunity that comes along not very often in a person's lifetime, and we're here to make sure that that opportunity gets exploited. Number three, the products have excellent margins. The typical installed system, loop system on a commercial or a residential aspect, with labor, they'll have margins of 50 to 70% or more. So the margins are very good on this. Number four, you are performing an actual community service that will bring you lots of accolades and rewards. It's not only very much needed, but also very appreciated. And towards the end, I have some actual testimonials, and I have many more I can send you, and it's very fulfilling. And also, number five, many of your existing customers are also potential loop customers. Many of you have probably had customers or had at least been in situations where you were dealing with a customer or potential customer that was hard of hearing and was looking for a solution. You may or may not have been able to offer them that solution, but now you can. So those are our reasons why you may want to become a hearing loop dealer. Some of our products, or their Phonic ear products that we sell, the Field system, which is a complete, ready-to-install residential loop system. It's probably, I would call it the stalwart of our residential product line. Very easy to install. We have a lot of audiologists. They're only, I think your cost is $120 something. Retails about $199 or anywhere in that range. We have a lot of audiologists that send these home with people with first-time hearing aid users. They've reduced their amount of complaints and take returns by about 50%. So they're very happy to send these home for the small amount of money. There's a Hear It Media, which is a wireless device, hooks into the TV or stereo. It incorporates a neck loop, which the wearer wears. This operates on Bluetooth. It also answers the cell phone. So if I'm Pop and I'm sitting home watching TV and the cell phone rings, it rings in my hearing aid, and I push a little button on the front of the receiver, and I can speak wirelessly into my neck loop, and it's a very convenient item. And then the other one, our most complete residential plug-and-play system, is a very nice device called the Hear It All. It comes in a beautiful package. It's very transportable. One of the things that the hard of hearing have a problem with is when they travel, they don't have anything with them except a hearing aid. This device comes in a little, very nice lunchbox size case. It's very portable. It's got a wireless microphone. It's a TV unit, TV stereo. It also has the neck loop that answers the cell phone and the land phone wirelessly, the same as the Hear It Media does. So it's a very comprehensive system, and that's starting to catch on. Very nice, very nicely packaged. Our commercial loop systems, which are for the big boys, the PL150, PL300, and PL450 amplifiers. They start at, I think, 600 square feet, and they applications to over 8,000 square feet depending on the model. They last about 20 years. They're passive. There's no interference. They're very, very easy to integrate. Underneath that is the Logabit. It's a programmable commercial driver, probably the best driver on the market today. The driver itself will accommodate an application up to over 12,500 square feet, I think. Very, very, very high quality unit. And in a higher end auditorium or a large theater, these are being installed with very good results. As I said, you would get some actual testimonials. I have a couple of here that you can read through. Obviously, we have many, and we get many all the time. It's a very rewarding aspect of our business, and you know, we're happy every day that we get to go in and help people improve their quality of life. So you have those that hopefully you've read through. This is a picture of the United States House of Congress. I don't know why that's there, but no, I'm joking. Of course, the U.S. House of Congress is looped, along with many other major facilities in the United States. I just happened to have this picture, and I stuck it in here. And many of our congressmen, and actually many senior administrators in American life. Naturally, if 15% of our population is hearing impaired, that goes across the board. So you can assume that 15% of our senators and Republican and representatives are also hearing impaired. We have one right here. Gus Bularakis, he happens to be the vice chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee. We went to his office and visited with him. He's almost deaf completely. Wears a cochlear implant. We're setting him up. Actually, we're selling him. We can't give him one, but one of his in his conference room. One of the biggest problems he has is sitting at a large conference table and being able to hear the other side of the conference table. It's something that simple that we take for granted that he finds as a tremendous hardship. So we're setting up a loop system in his conference room. But he also introduced us to the Department of Veterans Affairs, and now we sell our loop systems to the VA. We've looped Bay Pines Hospital here in St. Petersburg, and we're getting ready to do the Veterans Hospital in Palm Beach, and we're working on Tampa. So that's another market that, of course, is nationwide, and we're very excited to be part of. Our services for dealers coming in, we help with quoting. If you take pictures of the site, we'll help you design the loop and help you with any hardships that we feel you may be able to consider. We'll help engineer the loop system and help you pick the right drivers, the right amount of antenna. We'll test your design for you, and then when it gets down to the end, we'll help you prepare the bid for it, you know, figuring in the hours and using your numbers and your labor to help you do that. We're trying to you know, put a pretty comprehensive support facet together. We're also just starting a lead generation program that's working out very well. We have a couple girls on the phone here, and they're calling in specific markets for dealers in those markets, churches, theaters, commercial buildings, and we're getting a very good response, and we're generating a fair amount of leads from that aspect. So we're very happy about that, and that's, of course, you know, we're still tweaking it, but it's working out very well for us. Just some how this is in here, I don't know, but I couldn't figure out how to delete it. But it is flat foil tape that we use, usually under carpets. You all will have, I'm sure, much more knowledge of these products than me. Here is a detail of the commercial drivers. The PL150 from 1600 to 2100. The PL300 is roughly 3200 to 48. The 450 is roughly 48 to 8600 square feet. And then the big boy, the Logabit, is 12,000 plus. Some sample tools just to let you know that it's nothing, there's nothing out of the ordinary. The only, what we would consider a proprietary probably item, and they're not really proprietary, but they just don't seem to be around that much. There's a field strength meter that registers field strength of the magnetic field strength of the system when it's installed. It's also good for you need to be able to read levels of interference. The systems are subject to electromagnetical interference, EMI, and so we, of course, use the field strength meter to determine the level of EMI. Other than that, it's pretty standard stuff that you're using every day in any audio installation, I'm sure. The steps to becoming an authorized hearing loop dealer are relatively simple. We ask that you complete a dealer application. If you want terms, we ask you complete a credit application, which we'll provide. There's approximately 6 hours of training, which we do over the internet. Or if you're local, or if you're not local and you want a vacation, you're welcome to come to our office. The price for the training is $200. That covers up to 2 people, and it's included with the purchase of the demo kits, which I'll describe and you can see below. Basically, the training, we're covering the cost of our trainer, Chris Harden, and that's about it. So we certainly want to put people in the field. We're not trying to get rich off the training. We recommend with the purchase, it's not mandatory, but we recommend with the purchase of the becoming a dealer that you purchase one of our demonstration kits. Obviously, like anything, you need the tools to be able to sell. The commercial kit has a PL150 driver, a field strength meter, a loop listener, which is a portable telecoil. You can't tell if the loop is working if you don't have a loop listener. It comes with an international loop sign, which is basically for demonstration. 100 feet of 14 gauge stranded loop wire, and includes the certified training. That sells for $1,500. It's roughly about what it costs us for the equipment. You can't effectively demonstrate a system if you can't demonstrate a system. We have found over the years that it's a much better selling point and really helps close the deal when you can set up a loop system. It doesn't take much time, usually about 30 minutes to set up a demonstration, play an audio source through the loop, and send someone walking around the room and let them experience how dramatic the loop is. It really helps to demonstrate and sell the systems. We also offer a residential kit, which includes the field loop system. You can also demonstrate with this system, but it's good for about a 400 square foot room. So basically, that's the extent of it. Let's see. I'll end my conversation with that. Well, not much of a conversation. It's kind of one-sided, but and if you want information, we have additional information. I have our address and phone numbers on the back here. You can contact Tracy at AIN Group. You can contact the Hearing Loop Group, and we'll be ecstatic and elated to hear from you. So with that, I'll hand it back, and we'll look for any questions.
Thank you, Paul. You did a great job. Very informative. This is Diana with AIN Group. We're going to open the question and answer session now. And I don't know, Tracy, do we have any questions in the queue? Otherwise, if the participants, if you can raise your hand to the right of your screen, we will open up your phone line so you can speak to Paul directly.
I do not see any questions so far, Diana, in the queue.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I did want to let everyone know on the session today that I will be sending them out a credit application package for the Hearing Loop group, and along with their pricing information as well. That'll be going out this week for you.
Well, I must have done a great job, I guess.
Okay,
I didn't leave any questions on the table unanswered.
so far, it doesn't appear that there's any questions. Wait, I do see one here.
I do show one question coming in. From Tom George. Do you have any more detail on the physical installation that would allow us to assess the viability of getting into other markets?
I don't see the question on my screen for some reason, but do I have any information? Go ahead and say that again, please.
Do you have any more detail on the physical installation that would allow us to assess viability of getting into this market?
Yes. Tom, it was?
Correct.
Is that right?
And
Tom,
we just sent Tom the audio code as well to unmute his phone.
Yeah, it'd be great. I don't quite understand. I mean, if he's looking for entree into a specific market or help with targeting a specific market, we can certainly do that. You know, we've dealt with just about every market that there is for a loop, and we've installed in just about every market. So yeah, we're here to help develop markets, and from our perspective, you know, this is such a huge market. It's tough to it takes a lot of resolve to stay focused within specific markets. So it's I mean I don't know how really to answer that. We'll help any way we can, you know, to open up markets.
Let me try and clarify. I'm on the line now, I believe. What I was really looking for is something that a little more detailed in terms of what's involved in a physical installation. You know, we were talking about drivers. We're talking about a piece of equipment. We're talking about putting something around the perimeter on the floor, something that would really just kind of allow us to assess what's physically involved and technically involved in an installation.
Sure. I'll tell you, Tom, with the installation, the only real install aspect of it is actually concealing the antenna. And that could involve, I mean, we've been in churches where we literally had to cut the grout out of the center of the church down the aisle, install the antenna in that grout, and then re-grout it. For that, we had to hire a tile person. Many times we hire, probably 50% of our installations, we have to hire an outside carpet guy to come in. We may have to cut the carpet down the middle of a room and pull it back and re-seam it.
So in other words, is it always below that you put the antenna, or can it be above as well?
No, it can absolutely be above. Absolutely. We just did one the other day for a facility here where we were able to get up in the attic. If you can get up into an attic, as long as the ceiling is, let's say, under 10 feet, you know, they're very effective, and as long as there's not a lot of real noisy lighting up there. Can lights are okay. Hung ceilings are okay. You can run it around the perimeter of the ceiling easily. We put antenna in crown molding around the tops of rooms. I mean, it's literally any way that you can design an antenna and make it work is there's no set parameters, you know. So it's just a matter of being able to get it installed and get the customer happy with the installation, and of course make the system work properly for them. But you know, generally people are wanting, or just about always, they're wanting the antenna concealed. You know, one of the hardest installations is getting it concealed behind a baseboard. Sometimes you have to actually literally pull off the baseboard and run it behind it, or we put cord around the baseboard if it's on a hardwood floor, and you know, have to groove out the back of the baseboard of the cord around, you know, something like that. It's really just subject to whatever you feel is the best installation route within the medium that you have, you know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you had something like, you know, a white paper or something like that I could hand over to one of our techs and have them evaluate, you know, the viability of us doing something like this, because I'm not real clear yet on technically how this thing works.
Yeah, well, like I said, if you've run speaker wire, you know, if you're doing audio and you've run speaker wire, that's it. You know, it's 14 gauge wire. It's very thin. As far as the amplifier, I mean, it's just a matter of interfacing that with whatever the sound source is. The antenna wire itself, I should have a picture on here. Maybe I'll get one. It's literally just two wires, two screws you connect to the back of the amplifier, and you're hooked up. You have a loop system. From that point, I mean, when we do demos, you can literally, we take the loop and we run it around the outside of the room. If it's carpet or whatever, if we want it to look decent, we take a couple pieces of tape and we just tack it around the floor every 15 or 20 feet, and we'll run that around the outside of the room. We'll literally plug the antenna into the amplifier. We hook up a microphone to it, and we have a fully operational loop system within about 15 or 20 minutes, if that. And so that's how we do our demos. From that point, all you're doing is evaluating the best route to the best, you know, way to get the antenna wire concealed, and it could be in an attic. You know, if it's not a 20-foot ceiling, you know, the limit's about 10 feet, like I said. 9 feet, 8, 9 foot is better. And then you have to run it up there, and then, you know, you have to test it first, so we don't install it in the attic until it is kind of, the attic is not the premium choice, because you got to put it up there, run it around, test it out, make sure it works, and then you're going to go back up and make sure that it's fixed within the attic. So, but it does work.
Do people have to be inside of the loop? Does it work with any hearing aid? You know, how do you choose drivers? Those kinds of things. I can send you on this sheet, but I can certainly send you. Yeah, the drivers have to be sized for the room. You know, there's different limits. There's the 3 commercial drivers that go up to about 8,600, and you know, you have the larger commercials. You can also run the drivers in series. You have to buy some additional equipment to do that, but you can run 2, 3, 4 drivers in series if you had a really large room, or you can run multiple loop systems and run them. You know, you just run multiple loops and run them in series. But that's all, you know, obviously predicated by the facility, and we can, you know, we're very good at helping design systems. You know, we've gone through. If we can't answer it, we certainly have a great partner in Phonic here that can, you know, but we don't find many instances where we don't have the solution and are able to create a viable option. But yeah,
it's kind of a unique, and I guess if you could picture like when you set up a home for an audio system, I'm assuming you do audio or audio video?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so you're setting up a system, you're actually designing that system, you know, you're using some guidelines, but for the most part, you're kind of off the cuff, right? And
okay.
You know, within our, I mean, it's the best I can tell you. Within our systems, it's pretty much the same. We have guidelines. We have the international standards that we have to be certified to, and we have to. The system has to meet those standards. But there's 4 or 5 ways that we, you know, to do loops. Getting back to the hearing aids, anyway. The hearing aid has to have a telecoil in it, but about 70% of all hearing aids now have telecoils, and it's a very inexpensive component to hearing aids. So just about everybody who goes outside into a venue has a hearing aid with a telecoil in it these days. And we always offer one, and some facilities buy several of the loop listeners for either people that are hard of hearing and don't have a hearing aid, have not accepted the fact yet, or if they're just if they don't have a telecoil in their hearing aid, they can put on one of the loop listeners. But yeah, we're you know, we're ready to help with any designs or any materials I can get you at all. I mean, through our training, you go through all the different loop variations. There are ways to configure the loop. You know, if you need to cancel out anything bleeding over from inside, a cancellation loop. There's several different configurations that all are part of the training. You know, 95% of the time you're installing a loop that's a single perimeter room loop, and they're very simple.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom and Paul, for addressing the questions that Tom had.
Well, I hope I was able to answer it to his satisfaction.
Yeah, no, I was just looking, Paul, for something that, again, that I could hand over to one of our technical guys, and you know, kind of a cocktail napkin sketch of here's how it works. You know.
I'll tell you what. Do I have your contact information?
I can give it to you. It's Tom.
Yeah.
At iwired.com.
iwired.com. All right. Let me get. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say I can give you my phone number as well if you'd like it.
Sure.
It's 480-922-2500. I'm at extension 22.
All right. I'll get you some stuff together, Tom, and I think you'll find. Yeah, I can put together some diagrams, some loop diagrams. We've got a lot of technical stuff. If you want to hand it to your tech, and it'll hopefully give him some insight. You know. And,
yeah. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just something a little bit more. You know, where we could make a decision that we get it. We understand how it works. We can get a rough idea of what would be involved from a labor perspective, and if it's something we want to get into.
Yeah, sure. And we got plenty of cocktail napkins. Don't worry.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, we can get you some information. Absolutely.
Okay, that'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I'll get it within the next day or so. I'll
yeah, that's fine. No hurry.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We still have
okay, well, thank you, Tracy. Diane.
You're welcome, Tom. We still have a few people on the webinar. I'm not sure if anybody has any additional questions.
Well, I'm here.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to jump off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
And with that, I don't see any additional questions, so I think we are good for this session, Paul.
All right, then. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, attendees.
I'd like to thank everybody for attending. And if you have any questions or need any additional information, please contact Tracy here at the office, 866-323-8000. She is at extension 101. Or you can just email her at tracy@aingroup.com. Thank you, everybody.